Welcome back to the Superheroes Everyday Podcast. I'm Danny Horn. I'm here with Trevor Bolliger. Trevor, hello.
Hello, hello. I'm a little bit sad that, the whole act two, not a single ninja to be seen. I'm
Oh,
I'm hoping it changes for act three.
oh yeah, me too. This is Act 3 of the 2005 Mario Kart level, Batman Begins. The story so far, we are reaching the end of the beginning, and all the pieces are slotting into place. We've got Bruce Wayne all dolled up in make-believe Kevlar. We've got a tough-talking damsel in distress. We've got a solid 8 minutes of Batmobile footage that we cannot unsee. And now we have to start giving a shit about the Gotham City water supply. You ready for this? Welcome to Act 3 of Batman Begins.
Let's do it.
Basement cleanup. Gordon and some guys are downstairs in the basement of Arkham Asylum. They are looking at the wreckage of what used to be the Scarecrow's home base. So this is where he was mixing up the chemicals. And there's this little pipe, the one little pipe, which I love. And there's like a little wooden arrow that says Gotham water supply this way. And that's where they dumped all the mean chemicals into this little pipe. Gordon points out that nobody's been feeling any different, which is true. Because I don't feel like you can poison a whole city, the water supply of an enormous modern city. I kind of doubt that there's just like one big pool of water somewhere that's like, this is all the water.
I think the residents of Flint, Michigan might have a thing to say about that, but in terms of like long-term health effects versus like short-term psychosis, like yeah, no, that's not how
Like
that's
we're
not
just
how water
yeah,
supply works.
like we can dump stuff into this for weeks. That is what they say. Rachel wakes up in the Batcave, and after the night she's had, this should not be okay. Bruce is there. He is still in Batman drag. He gives her a plot update, and then he tells her, "I'm going to give you a sedative, and you'll wake up back at home."
It's just like she's just like C3PO, like just flip her off and flip her back on whenever they want.
Yeah, we're gonna turn you off and on again. He gives her two tiny little vials with antidote. He says one of these is for Gordon, one of them is for mass production. So there must be another like little sign somewhere that says mass production this way. And then he sedates her. And that's the end of that.
And she's kind of okay with it. I mean, she doesn't have a choice, but
Yeah. Yeah, she does not object. Yeah, there isn't really like a moment where she goes like, wait, what? You're gonna sedate me? I've had enough problems tonight. And then there's the birthday party, the utterly bizarre birthday party. Alfred is upset with Bruce for driving around running over cop cars. And they have a little tussle about whether he's helping other people or not. And then he says, "It's Rachel, Alfred. She was dying. She's downstairs sedated. I need you to take her home." And there's a little sex trafficking scene, I feel, where Alfred is like putting Rachel, an unconscious Rachel, in the car. And there are some servants that see him do it. And it's just like he is clearly just sex trafficking at this point.
yeah, I'd like to nominate this for the most tasteless attempt of a joke in the
Yeah,
entire movie.
it's a
It's
weird
not
joke.
funny.
It's a weird one
Yeah.
completely. Bruce walks into the birthday party. There is an enormous crowd of people who have not noticed that he hasn't been at his birthday party yet. But as soon as he walks in, everyone raises their glass and sings happy birthday to him. I don't understand why Alfred couldn't just cancel this party and say that Bruce was sick, but fine.
Yeah, the deposits were already paid. I mean, those little appetizer trays were somebody's got to eat them.
The guests were on their way. They've been traveling for days to get here, and they're going to need some hors d'oeuvres when they get here. Lucius is there at the birthday party, and Bruce thanks Lucius for the antidote and says, "How long would it take to manufacture this antidote on a large scale?" And Lucius says, "Weeks. Why?" And the answer is because it's in the water supply and we're going to need some tonight. And Lucius is the one who figures it out. He says, like, well, just having it in the water supply wouldn't do anything unless you've got a microwave emitter that could vaporize all the water in the whole entire city and then people would breathe it in. And Bruce says, okay, well, then you're going to need to go make some antidote right now because the police are going to need some. And so he just kind of like runs off to the Wayne Enterprises test kitchen.
Did Lucius make the microwave emitter? Is he a war criminal?
They do not make that clear at all.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. But it was
Yeah.
their division.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they were working to a plan for anything particular. They were just whipping up whatever kind of like came up in their minds. Then a random lady who I believe is this reality's version of Gossip Gertie comes up And she says, Bruce, there's someone you simply must meet. Am I getting the name right, Mr. Ras Al Ghul? Which is so weird. I don't know who that lady is, but I'm in love with her. She's my favorite, actually.
This might be my favorite part of the whole movie too. There's somebody you simply must meet. This mute man with just the iciest of glares.
And a little Fu Manchu mustache. I don't know where they got her. And then there's this really pointless switcheroo where like they introduce Ras Al Ghul, and a guy turns around. He's got this little Fu Manchu mustache, and then from behind him, there's Liam Neeson. He's back. He's from Tibet. He's looking just as dapper and smug as he ever was. And Bruce figures out that Liam Neeson is not actually Henri Ducard, that he is in fact himself Ra's al Ghul,
Dun, dun, dun.
which for me is like the non-reveal of all time.
Yeah.
Like you thought the guy standing next to me back in the dojo was named Ra's al Ghul, but in fact I am named Ra's al Ghul. So what?
I I think I thought he was Raj Al Ghul the entire time.
He's like, even if he wasn't, he was like second in command anyway. I can't even talk. It's so silly. It would
No,
also, by the way, Liam Neeson's name is not Ra's al Ghul because where is that even from?
so the third one, The Dark Knight Rises, the villain of the movie is Talia Al Ghul,
Uh-huh.
and played by Marion Cotillard, I believe, a French woman, so
Yeah.
not anybody who would ever be named Raj Al Ghul.
Yeah.
And they kind of hand wavy explain it in that movie, but
Okay.
um,
They do not explain it in this one.
yeah, no, it's not explainable.
Yeah. Then there's another scene which I like, which is the big rudeness,
Hmm.
where Bruce is just like vicious and rude to everybody in the room, and he tells all the phonies and sycophants to get the fuck out of his house.
Hmm.
I enjoy that. That is
Yeah.
that is my personal favorite scene.
It's his party. He'll be a complete asshole if he wants to.
Yeah. And then it is followed by like my least favorite scene.
Ugh. I think the note that I have in my document is just yada yada yada.
Oh my god, he talks and talks. Everyone leaves except for like there's some scary looking people dotted around the room, who are each like, and also I'm Ra's al Ghul. No, I'm Ra's al Ghul. Like, will the real Ra's al Ghul sign in, please? And so here's Ra's al Ghul saying, "Your antics at the asylum forced my hand. Crane's toxin was made out of the rare blue flower," which I thought was rare, but apparently they can make just like endless amounts of fear gas out of it.
Well, now it's rare.
It's even more rare now. And he says they're going to release the gas throughout the city and then watch the city tear itself apart through fear. He starts boasting about how great the League of Shadows is. We sacked Rome. We burned London to the ground. Whenever a civilization reaches the pinnacle of its decadence, we return to restore the balance. Oh, it's everything. He says everything, basically.
Yeah, and it's just exhausting hearing him just monologue again.
Yeah.
But it's also like we're watching this in 2023, and we've seen Endgame and Infinity War,
Mm-hmm.
and so the whole idea of like you have to burn to build back up, like that's been done like
Yeah.
dozens of times since then. It's like it's still exhausting. Like there's nothing new. We don't need to see that story. It wasn't interesting in 2005.
And then he starts burning the mansion down, which Bruce seems entirely okay with.
Yeah, but well, I don't want us to breeze pipe that he talks. They try to use economics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What
They
was
try
that
to use
about?
economics to destroy Gotham.
Yeah.
And so, like, what the fuck's sake does that actually mean?
And there are people who like good people tried to stop it or make it better, which was his
So allegedly,
parents.
that public transit system
Yeah.
completely foiled their evil plans.
Their evil
But
League of Shadow plans. And so were they responsible for killing his parents? That's kind of what it seems like, but it doesn't make any sense. And so I don't know.
I think extrapolating the League of Shadows, like use economics. I mean, it does happen today where like capitalism, unfettered capitalism can like ruin societies where
Oh,
like
sure it can. No, we're seeing that happen. Yeah.
yeah, and so like
That's our life now.
that's what happened in Gotham, and so like crime is a byproduct of poverty
Hmm.
in this Gotham, and so to some degree their economics, quote unquote, whatever the hell that means,
Yeah.
worked, but then public transit apparently solves everything.
I don't know. He's trying to make a sales pitch and it's not working. So he just starts burning Bruce's house down, which Bruce seems entirely okay with. He just kind of stands there and lets that happen. He doesn't even object. He
Mhm.
doesn't even say, like, would you mind not? Could you, gentlemen, could you stop throwing gasoline around my house?
Earlier in the movie, he did say that he wanted to tear it down brick by brick. And so it's not
So
precious to
here it is.
him,
Yeah,
but
that's right. Yeah, he
mm.
doesn't really care. The notorious RAG, he says, you lack the courage to do all that is necessary. If someone stands in the way of true justice, you simply walk up behind them and stab them in the heart. And then a ninja drops down from behind Bruce. Right on cue, which is awesome. They're still doing it. They're still doing dramatic ninja drops. Like, even after all this time, they're still doing that. So Bruce and Ra's al Ghul start tussling a little bit. And Liam Neeson says, you never learn to mind your surroundings. And then a beam falls out of the roof and just knocks Bruce out. So that Ross can stand there and do another villain monologue moment. Fucking shit. Justice is balance, he says. Justice is balance. You burned my house. You left me for dead. Consider us even. Which is not true at all.
No,
Bruce
he saved his life.
saved your life and left you with a nice person. But that's what happens. All right. So, and then there's just like a lot of things happening at this point. There's junk going on in Gotham City with people getting let out of the asylum. Bruce is going to die in a fire. This is a nice little thing. Alfred runs in and saves Bruce from a fully burning building.
Mm-hmm.
And he's picking up the burning beam, and he has this great line. What is the point of all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log? Which is great shade.
And he's got that joke before where he like knocks the guy unconscious outside. He's like, I hope you weren't part of the fire brigade.
Yeah.
And just Alfred
He
will,
brings it.
even if his boss is dying, he's going to take the moment to take the joke, waddle on in there. Love him. Love him.
He brings it. I love it. There's just like madness outside. There's cops fighting people and people fighting cops. And Rachel's trying to like go across the bridge to the Narrows. There's all these like various shades of chaos going on. And somehow this is one where I think it's really silly. There's a voice. Gordon is standing somewhere, and there's this amazing voice that says, "Hey Gordon, there's somebody here to see you." In this awesome like Rizzo the Rat voice. And that's Rachel, and that's her line to introduce her. And so she gives Gordon the antidote. Gordon says they're going to raise the bridges. We better get you off the island before they raise the bridges, which they don't do. I don't really understand the geography at all. Like, you know that this is the Narrows because it looks like shit, but it's possible that everything in Gotham looks like shit. So I have a little hard time with it. And then Rachel finds Joffrey, little Game of Thrones kid.
Mm-hmm.
We saw before. He's randomly walking around in the street like a lost orphan. He gets pushed in the face, and Rachel like gathers him in. And now Rachel just has a little kid to take care of. Like, being a damsel in distress is not enough. We also have to have a cute little boy under her wing.
That's what ladies do. They watch out for children.
So there's Ra's al Ghul. He turns on the microwave emitter, and water starts boiling, coming out of the vents. They are hitting the water main under the Narrows.
Did you
You are shaking your head, and I agree with you. Tell me why.
the little quip that he says,
Oh, what does he say?
time to spread the word, and the word is panic. It's just like, come on. They can't all be winners, but good
Yeah,
try, I guess.
I didn't even clock that. You are so right. Oh, Liam Neeson. So I'm just gonna have just a little moment just to say a little prayer for physics, for the idea of you are shooting microwaves at the water, and it's having this kind of effect, and it's not just boiling all the people
Yeah,
who are around.
there's water in our bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
This movie prides itself on being so grounded and realistic.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, this whole like central, like the device for
Yeah,
the final conflict, like the big bomb in the end is hand wavy science
very
that
silly microwave
you
thing.
take two
Yeah.
seconds to think about it. And just like, that doesn't make fucking like a sense.
Well, when we say realistic, I think usually what we mean is the lighting. Like, it's not usually the plot. It's just, because like going, getting the secret panel open in the library and taking the elevator down to the Batcave, like It's the same thing. It's just the lighting is better in the Nolan movie. From here, basically until the end of the movie, it is really unclear what the fuck's going on. Like we see a
Hmm.
lot of like people running around in the gas. Rachel's got the antidote. Gordon sticks the antidote into himself. The Ra's al Ghul guys have gas masks on. Everybody else is just like seeing monsters, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the effect of the toxin, but it is a lot. And I mean,
But
broken record at this point, but
there's also these like asylum guys who are walking around like they're zombies, like kind of
yeah,
stalking in a line. I don't really understand what the asylum guys are doing at all.
fear. Yeah, they're doing fear.
They're doing fear. Gordon's calling for help. He is talking to the commissioner. He's saying we need riot cops, we need SWAT teams. The thing he doesn't say is we need gas masks. Everybody get gas masks. Which, considering that they can see all of the gas blowing around, they should probably be aware of. But in this movie, gas masks appears to be a thing that only villains have. Nobody else knows what they are.
I mean, it's pre-COVID, so that people don't understand how lungs work. But
Then there's a little scene that is entirely part of the magic of somehow Rachel is reassuring Joffrey, little kid, and then somehow Dr. Crane comes by in his scarecrow outfit, and somehow he is on a horse,
yeah, Ichabod Crane.
and somehow they are now having a conversation, which is like it's so unlikely and it's so crazy. But I kind of like this because he tries to attack them, and Rachel just fires her taser at him, and he like flops over on the horse, which runs away, and he's just screaming. And that's the end of Crane, which is actually entirely satisfying because I've wanted
It's very
somebody
satisfying.
to taser that fucking dude for the last hour.
It's a little bit funny
Yeah.
because he like screams very high pitched, but it's satisfying. Yeah.
It's exactly what you want from that guy.
Yep.
Fuck that dude. Then here comes the Batmobile building bridges, where he just kind of like busts across the gap. Now he's in the Narrows. Now he's talking to Gordon, and Batman has figured everything out. They're going to use the monorail to get the microwave emitter to Wayne Tower, which is the center of everything. And then they're going to cause a chain reaction, which will vaporize Gotham's entire water supply. Okay, fine. That's our plot.
Sure. Sure.
There are some zombie asylum guys who are kind of walking around, and they approach Rachel and Joffrey, and then Batman comes and saves them, I guess. It's hard to tell what's going on at this point. But this is the one where Rachel finds out.
Yeah, he saves it. Then they're on the roof, and
Yeah.
then I don't know where the child went, but
When she finds out like who that he's
yeah,
Bruce.
it's just
Yeah.
the two grown-ups. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where the kid is either. And then he just opens his wings and he flies and flies and flies, held aloft by terrifying fear gas vaporizing out of the sewers, and he lands right in front of Ra's al Ghul, who makes him fight four guys. Gordon gets inside the Batmobile and he's got to drive somewhere. And now it's just like fights and punching and punch on punch. Ra's al Ghul loads the emitter on the train. Now Batman's got to stop the train. And that's the plot point.
Yeah.
And it's confusing because he doesn't actually, it turns out, have to stop this train at all. What is about to happen
That's the big twist.
is like, but it means that he does, which I guess is a good twist, but it means that he, like, what Batman does in the next 5 minutes is entirely bizarre and pointless, so he doesn't need to do it at all. But what that is he grabs his grapple gun, he points upwards from wherever he's standing just at that moment and just shoots, and it happens to hit exactly the right spot on the train. And so now he like goes wow, and he gets pulled away. He's just like dangling under the train now.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to get the hell out of those poor people's neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Mm.
There's a very smart man who's at the center of the system who explains
Yeah,
the pressure's moving along the mains, blowing all the pipes. If that pressure reaches us, the water supply across the whole city is going to blow, which is super helpful. It's like a very helpful explanation guy.
I mean, yeah, that's his job, is to just stay at the water HQ and just explain to the younger employee like what could possibly
What's
go
happening?
wrong. But also, that's not how water works. Turning water into steam is not like a chain reaction.
Yeah, I was wondering about that phrase, that chain reaction phrase. That's where they lost me completely.
Yeah, I mean, we've all like boiled water before. Like, oh, I want to make some pasta or some rice, and it's just like a tiny little boil right in the middle of the pot.
Yeah.
It's not a chain reaction.
And then
It takes
someone
while.
comes up and says, "Oh my God, wait, you started a chain reaction. All the water in the kitchen is about to vaporize." Yeah, it is funny when they try to use stuff for plot points that we all have experience with, like boiling water. We do kind of have a little sense of how this works. At this point, it's just degenerating into like super fast cuts between like a dozen different
Yeah.
things. Batman manages to get inside the train somehow, and now he's got a like sword fight, Ra's al Ghul or some shit.
Mm.
And Gordon is driving the Batmobile, and punch, 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 and it's all a fist fight. And then Gordon has to like lie down in the Batmobile thing to energize the weapons, which I don't get. And then he uses the weapon system to shoot the girders that are holding up the bridge. And so then the rail falls down, and Ra's al Ghul is in the train and he's lecturing Bruce continuously about whatever. And he says, "You'll never stop this train." And Batman says, "Who said anything about stopping it?" And that's the big twist, is that Gordon was shooting at the girders, and that's actually the thing that solved the problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit poetic of when they were sword fighting on the ice, and then like Bruce fell, and that's how he
Oh, that's
lost
true.
because
Yeah.
he lost. He was so focused on the battle, like the fist
Yeah.
fight, that he lost his footing.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit of, he learned from that and he kind of turned it on its head.
Yeah.
But then yeah, it's why the hell was he
Why
up
was he
there
on the train?
being so grumpy and so punchy?
Well, he has to be there so that Ra's al Ghul can look at him and say, "You finally learned to do what's necessary." And Batman says, "I won't kill you, but I don't have to
Hmm.
save you," which is the same thing, but fine.
Yeah, yeah, no, especially because he's responsible. I guess, well, Gordon's responsible for murdering Ra's al Ghul by
Mm-hmm. Yes,
destroying
exactly.
the
By
train
doing this,
tracks.
train falls, things blow up, things fall down, microwave emitter blows up, makes a really big bang, and that's about it. And the pressure goes away, and everything is fine. It still looks like crap, but everything is fine now. And guess what, Trevor? Happy ending.
Happy ending, yeah.
Hooray! There's some more boardroom intrigue. Bruce has bought up all the shares of Wayne Enterprises when it went public through dummy corporations, I'm sure. And then here we are at the destroyed house. And what is Bruce doing when we find him at the destroyed house? He's boarding up the well.
The generational trauma ends here, Danny.
The thing that they were supposed to do 30 years ago that they didn't do. Now the whole rest of the house is destroyed, but Bruce is going to board up that fucking well. That needs to get done. And then Rachel shows up for a very weird scene that I cannot connect to in any way.
There's not that much chemistry between the two of
It's
them.
really
That's why
not.
nobody connects to it.
Yeah. So they talk and they say that justice is about more than revenge and whatever. And then she gets real close and then they kiss. And usually, like, I'm usually a huge fan of romance stuff and superhero movies. Like, that's,
Mhm.
as anybody who's listened to the podcast, like every time there's like a kiss scene coming up, I'm like, oh yes, okay, great. We need more of that. Does nothing for me. It feels entirely
No.
drained of emotion for me completely.
And I just watched this movie today, and if you had asked me, do they kiss, yes or no, I would not have been able to answer the question because it is so devoid of any actual spark.
Yeah, it doesn't really, you don't feel it.
Mm.
She has a nice line about Bruce, like his face is a mask and his real face is the Batman face now. She's got that right. But I still don't really care. And then they hold hands as they walk through the wreckage.
It's smoldering. Their shoes would be melting.
Yeah, I'm concerned about what they're trying to do.
And like their lungs are full of toxin already in the breathing in all the smoke of the burned down house. Like
That's a really good point.
their lungs are doomed.
This movie has a hard time figuring out how air works. There's two things that this movie doesn't understand. Well, three. Okay, there's three things this movie doesn't understand: water, air, and fear.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, it focuses on those three things so much of
Yeah,
the time.
those are the three pillars. That and
Yeah,
bats. The fourth pillar
and
is
that's
bats.
that's which nobody understands. But she says that she's proud of him, and they smile at each other, and then she just walks away, and that's the end of her. And Bruce tells
Well,
Alfred,
that sorry, that is the end of her because they recast her for the next movie.
"Yeah, who's she in the next one? Is it Maggie
Maggie
Gyllenhaal?"
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
who is way better, a way better.
Yes,
There's
she is.
actual chemistry.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Katie Holmes. Bruce tells Alfred that he is going to rebuild this house just the way it was, brick by brick, which seems like a terrible idea.
I mean, he's not going to do it. He's going to pay somebody else to do it. But
He just it seems like he didn't really care that the house burned down. Like he actually, and that is now I'm really thinking about it. That like again, it's like there isn't a lot of emotion in his relationship with Rachel, and I don't feel like there's a lot of emotion in his relationship with the house. So I just don't feel a lot at the end of this movie.
no, and they I don't think they actually rebuild the mansion in the previous or in the
In the
sequel
next
movies.
movie,
I think they just put him in a penthouse in downtown and he just lives there.
which is obviously what he would do.
Yeah, I mean the symbolism of the like the cleansing fire of burning down Wayne Manor, and so he can finally get past his
Yeah,
childhood trauma and both the
boarding up
like
that well.
falling down the well and like his parents' murder and like no, and this is what he does now. This is
Mm-hmm.
his billionaire playboy hobby is dressing up in a little leather suit and soaring around and punching people.
Yeah, Gordon's got a bat signal now. He tells Batman, "You really started something. Bent cops running scared. Hope on the streets." This is not dramatized at all, but it's good to know that there's hope on the streets. And Gordon says, "I never said thank you," and Batman says, "And you'll never have to." And with that rejection of emotional connection, Batman jumps off the roof and into whatever nightmare he's gonna get involved with next. And that is the story of Batman Begins.
That is the story of Batman Begins. Again, like a pretty good movie. Not the most fun superhero movie, but I don't know when you're going to do the Dark Knight on this pod, but it's going to be an interesting episode because it's like one of just a stellar movie uh, with a stellar villain, and it'll be
Mm-hmm.
interesting how you kind of explore the story through it because it's so well regarded. But I think with if you believe in yourself and you're
I'm
true
true to
to,
my friends. I can accomplish anything.
I believe in you.
All right. Thank you so much. I believe in you too.
Do you want to talk about what you'd like to see? This is kind of a greenfield time. Like, what would be next for Batman? Like, what's your ideal Batman?
You mean when James Gunn,
Yeah.
you know what I would like to see actually is like a James Bond Batman.
Hmm.
I would love it if we didn't do this again.
Yeah.
Not because there's anything specifically wrong with this. It's just that now it's kind of like, this movie happened and established it was like this very obvious break from like the Joel Schumacher 66 Batman, where it's pouring rain, we can hold a guy upside down. And it totally makes sense to me why we want to establish that. And once we've done that, then everything has kind of followed that pattern. And I think it would be interesting to do something different, not because that's bad, but just because it would be cool to do something different. It would be cool, after the like, I don't know how many Batmans there have been. And actually, like, and I really like the Matt Reeves Batman because it's been like three of them, right? It's Christian Bale, it's Ben Affleck, and it's Robert Pattinson,
Mm-hmm.
who have all been kind of according to that same pattern.
Yeah.
So I think it would be cool to see like a Batman that just has like a different kind of flavor to it. And James Bond Batman kind of came into my head as like, I don't know, like an adventurer kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly what I want, but I would like to see something
Yeah.
that's different.
An adventure Batman movie would be fun because we're getting Detective Batman with Pat Robertson,
Right.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. Yeah. The other one.
One or the other. Yeah. One and the same. Yeah, some fun. It's okay for them to smile. It's okay for them to have fun.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it going to be like a Batman and Robin, but like the father son play? I don't know if they're going to be literally father and son, but isn't that going to be the
That is what I've
first
heard
one of the
about it.
new
Yeah.
DC? Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be interesting. Like an old man Batman who's like been gristled because we've seen young Batman before.
I kind of feel like we've seen old grizzled Batman too, just because
Yeah,
like because that is the Dark Knight Returns, and so much of like all of these starting from Batman Begins on is all like really informed by Dark Knight Returns. It'll be interesting to see like basically my assumption for him is that things are going to lean towards comedy because that is what he does. And
Yeah.
I'm curious. One of the things I'm curious about is like once he has like a whole universe to set up, is he actually going to try and dial that back and at least for some of these, like not just do a James Gunn movie over and over and over, like the James Gunn version of Batman, the James Gunn version of Superman kind of thing, like which means like kind of wacky and funny and emotional. Like, is he going to allow other kinds of tones?
I hope so. I would love to see a little bit of Technicolor.
Yeah,
I would love to see Batman that is capable of cracking a smile.
maybe a sunny day once in a while.
Maybe a sunny day, but
No sunny
I don't
days in
know.
Gotham City.
Not if you're living in a cave.
Trevor Bolliger, thank you so much for joining me.
And thank you for having me.
For more comedy about the history of superhero movies, you can go to the blog at superheroeseveryday.com. Now, this is the season finale for the Superheroes Everyday podcast. I'm going to take a season break here because I have made a lot of episodes. You probably haven't even listened to them all. So go do that for a while, and then I'll come back for a second season. To get notified when I'm back with new episodes, there are several things you can do. You can go to the blog at superheroeseveryday.com, sign up on the mailing list. You can follow Superheroes Every Day on Facebook or Twitter. Yep, still calling it Twitter. Or subscribe to the show on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for your support for season one. Making this show is really fun, and I am so happy that people have been listening and enjoying it. So I'll see you in a little while for season two. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye.